minutes during a tough stretch, and he defended his behind off as best he could. He rebounded as best he could, and he played within himself offensively. The ball got swung to him, they sagged off him, and he shot it. He let it fly, and so everybody else has to understand what their role is and not try to do too much, but try to bring whatever their role is to the table at the highest of high levels. And then, of course, it's good to get Trey back and great to get Sasha back, and we just got to figure out how to make sure we mix them in the right way without messing with any of the rhythm or anything like that we may have already.
Mike, I had two for you. They might be related, they might not. So both kind of from 30,000 feet, not being here every day, so I apologize on that. One is just interested in how you go from first offensively to 14th and what you think has caused that. The other one is that you've led by 15 points, I think about 100 more minutes, 130 more minutes than you did a year ago, but you've also trailed by 15 points about 80 more minutes than you did a year ago. So I'm wondering why such variability this year, and I'm also wondering why first to 14th.
Well, the easy one, first to 14th, and other teams have gotten better. And you can look at the history of the league. I don't think there's maybe a couple of teams in the last 20 years that finished first, 2, 3. Nobody's done it 4 years in a row. I was with a team that had 3 Hall of Fame scorers in Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson. And I think we only managed to do it one time back to back. We couldn't do it consecutively year after year, even though we probably had the most offensive, explosive players and team maybe in the history of the league. So it's a hard thing to do, especially when teams have gotten better And then on top of that, if you think about it, our last year, we had zero pressure. Nobody expected anything from us. We were a rest game. We were healthy the whole year. And if you look at some of our individual guys' numbers last year, they were career numbers. And to expect, everybody to continue to improve on a career year from last year, it's going to be tough. Can it happen? Yeah, it can happen, but it's going to be tough. And teams kind of now take you serious. They game plan for you. They come with a different swag to your gym, or whether you're playing them in their gym. And it's going to be a lot harder to maintain where we were. And that's why, one of the reasons why I was pressing our team is we had a lot of room to improve defensively. And if we could finish around the top 10, top 5 even better offensively, then we'll get, as long as our defense improved, then we'll give ourselves a chance to move up. And the scoring margins, again, it's one of those things where this year a little different. There's some expectations, and that our guys in significant positions have to deal with. And we talked about it at the beginning of the year, and sometimes you just have to go through stuff and manage it, learn from it, go from it, grow from it, especially when you hit adversity. I think, Jokic said it best when they won it. I can't quote him quote for quote, but he said something to the effect, well, you got to start off, you got to be terrible, and then you got to go from terrible, you got to be good, and then when you're good, you got to hit some setbacks, you got to suffer some adversity, and you got to have enough mental willpower and physical willpower to fight through that. And when you get to the point where you're good and you're able to fight through that adversity at a high level, then you'll have a chance to win this thing. But you have to go through a journey. You have to go through a process. I don't know any team that, it's going to happen, but off the top of my head, I can't think of any team that just did this in their ascension. And I'll reference one more thing from the Nuggets. Mike Malone was in Denver for 3 years. In the first 3 years, they didn't make the playoffs. Year 4, they finally made the playoffs, and then I think 5, 6 years later, after Jokic's been there for a while, they won a championship. And everybody, including myself, wants a championship yesterday. And I'm gonna push like the dickens to get it. And our guys are competitive; they're gonna push to get it too. But sometimes there's a process you got to go through, and I hate to hear it. You guys hate to hear it. The fans hate to hear it, but as long as we continue to grow and learn during this process, especially when we hit adversity, and some of the stuff we faced this year we've never faced before as a group, then I got to bear with it, stick with them, and continue to try to help them figure it out as we go along.
Hi, Mike. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
I have two for you as well. Number one, with Trey and Sasha coming back, will they have any kind of like minutes restrictions right away? And then how gradual do you feel like you need to be in working them back in, given the time that each of them has missed?
No minutes restriction, and I have a minute sheet, and I have an idea of how many minutes they'll play, but it can change during the flow of the game based on how we're playing, how the other team is playing, and how they're playing individually.
And also with the shooting guard spot with Malik and Kevin both out, who are the guys, aside from Keon, that you expect to kind of turn to first for minutes there? And I kind of wonder, if Keegan is versatile enough to give you minutes at that position in certain situations.
Yeah, Keegan will have to give us some minutes there, but we can also play Davion and shoot. When Fox was out, we started Keon at the 1, so we can slide Fox to the 2 some to give our opponents a different look. But we can definitely do it by committee with Fox, Keegan. We got Duarte sitting there, we got Colby sitting there. Mason Jones can handle some too. So we have guys that we're going to give an opportunity to and see what works well for us.
Yeah, Michael, along those lines with Colby and Kessler, even you've indicated in the past that those guys might not be ready for rotational minutes, given your injury situations now at the position. Where do you stand with them, and just sort of the balance of like, do I play them despite maybe not thinking they're ready, or do I play them out of necessity given what the situation is with the roster and the injuries?
It wasn't a thing where I didn't think that they were ready. It's just hard. If you have Kevin healthy, you have Malik healthy, you have Sasha healthy, you have Trey healthy, Alex is healthy, Davion's healthy, there's just no minutes. You know what I'm saying? And but I tried to throw them out. Like, we threw Kessler in the game versus Phoenix and had him guard Book. We threw Kessler in the game against Minnesota and had him guard Anthony Edwards during a real time, and he's done well for us. It's just tough because there are other guys right now that we play that I chose to play in front of. A guy like Kobe on the other hand, and it's great that he was getting minutes in the G League, and hopefully he'll continue to get minutes, but he may get thrown in the mix too. So it's more about what we have available than those guys, especially Kess not being ready, and with Sasha coming back, with Trey coming back, it's going to be harder to get a guy like Colby on the floor, and it'd be a little harder to get a guy like Kess on the floor, but he played well, and I'm a guy, if you get thrown out there for 20 minutes, I'm going to try to give you an opportunity if I can, and so he just got to stay ready when his number's called.
Mike, you've talked a lot about guys stepping up and next man up. This might be a little unfair, but also how much more needs to be asked of Fox and Sabonis and the top guys, especially with the playoff race still being very active? Do they still even need to take a lot of the load on themselves to make up for some of these injuries that are happening?
100%. That's what they get paid to do, and your stars step up, especially during the toughest times, and especially in the playoffs, because in the playoffs, the deeper you go, everybody knows what play is coming, and so now do you have a guy that can create 2 defenders or draw 2 defenders to sometimes finish, but most times to find other guys to help your quote unquote, and I hope I'm not disrespecting anybody, because I'm not, because you got your stars and then you have others. And in that other category, you can say they're average or whatever, but you have your others, and to help your others get good looks. And that's all I've ever done, and that's all I've ever experienced come playoff time, especially the deeper you go, is you have guys that can get to their sweet spots and score, or you can create a double team and help your teammates get better looks. And Luka and Kyrie both did that. Exum missed his first 2 or 3 threes in that fourth quarter, but they kept trying to get to their spots. They drew a second guy, they got off it, and they just trusted Exum, and he kept shooting it, and he finally hit one. But in the same breath, they were stars. Kyrie hit a tough pull-up in transition. And so we have to expect, demand, however you wanna call it, the same thing from our two guys, because we're gonna need them to step up again. That doesn't necessarily mean they gotta score every time, but they have to help, our guys get better looks by drawing a second defender from time to time, for sure.
Thanks, everyone.